It all came down with a crash, one I didn't even really hear until I thought about that strange sound I heard behind me. And it turned out that it was some badges. Well, not some, but a ton of badges that were on a very, very shaky little stick that I had put underneath a computer to allow me to hang them up. These were some of my historical badges from conventions and events that I've been to through my life, which I've kept. And when I started to untangle all of their lanyards and start to try to put this collection back up behind me, I realized how much of my time I have spent going to events. And also, I got some insight into my own memory and the way we look back on our lives. This is Jason Scott Talks His Way Out of It, a podcast about technology, history, and getting myself out of debt. Thanks to Jeff Atwood, Chris Higgins, and the hundreds of other supporters on Patreon and elsewhere who have been supporting me and helping me get out of debt. So when you go to a convention, really any kind of organized event where there are going to be hundreds of people there, and perhaps they want some level of assurance that everyone attending did pay for a spot, they give you a badge. The badge can come to you in all sorts of forms, from something as simple as a name tag on a table near where you paid, up to and including some incredible electronics, some truly complicated electronics, actual self-contained circuit boards with the name of the convention on them, where you can hack away at them, put games on them, or just wear them as if they were made of paper. I really didn't start going to any sort of organized events until I was in my late 20s. I didn't trust hacker conventions. I just thought they were honeypots for causing trouble. And I would go to meetings, that is to say, people hanging out at a restaurant or in some sort of plaza talking about computers. But those didn't require admission. They weren't pay events, and they certainly didn't give you any sort of coin or badge or even a program or piece of paper to tell you what was going on. They were wildly informal. In fact, if I really cast back, I went to one of the first 2600 meetings for the magazine, and I used to hang out at the Galleria Mall for a small group of hacking friends, let's go with 16 or 17 years old, and those were as informal as you could imagine. So what I'm talking about here is the fact that for many years, multiple times a year, many multiple times a year, I have gone somewhere down the street, somewhere in another state or another country, and I have attended an event, often an event that I'm speaking at. So I will get the speaker version of a badge or just a badge for free and do my presentations and talk about what's going on in my work or other people's work. And I walk away with occasionally a program, but almost always a badge. And something in me has always kept these badges, has always wanted to keep them. So here we are in the present day, and I'm looking at many badges, astounding amounts of badges. Badges made of plastic, badges made of circuit boards, badges made of something that I think really wasn't meant to stick around for 10 or 20 years, but I have them. My name is on them, my organization is often on them, and they represent, each one, a commitment of time. I have every DEF CON badge, every Hope badge, badges from Freaknik and TourCon, and even badges from library conferences or web archiving conferences, where they handed out something pretty simple. In this new office, I have a number of hooks on the wall, and I've been hanging badges as I find them. I have 4 hooks now, each one of them a complete jungle, a mess of wires and lanyards and strings representing all of the badges from that set. I have not pulled them apart to really take a number. And what's most fascinating to me is that over the years I have estimated how much of things I have, and yet here, in the final light of this large office, I can pull every example of something and get the final count. So in my heart, I want it to be hundreds of conferences. It's probably a few hundred. I remember one year when the IRS refused to give me any sort of deduction for the amount of conferences I was going to, claiming that there was no way I had been to 50. But I had. I was able to deduct some of them, but the disbelief from the government that I was even doing this way told me I was doing quite a bit of this conference life. Along with conferences come hotel rooms. You travel somewhere, you stay in a hotel either at the conference or near the conference, and I kept the hotel keys. I have a massive stack of those. This trophy room, these pieces of memory, have given me a gift. I can look them over and see what I have done. There's an interesting trick of the mind that's been happening to me as the years go by. I start to fool myself. I think I haven't done much. I think I haven't accomplished much. I think I haven't made the most of the time I've had. It's probably some natural belief as time starts to run out, but in fact, I can look at these badges and look at all of these different tags. I can look at all these day-long or weekend-long events and know that I did them. They happened. I met people. I had adventures along the way. Either I drove and rented a car, or I flew somewhere and took a train. But I did it. It happened. They are all components of the puzzle pieces of my life. I made friends at these conferences, friends I still have. I learned things at these conferences. I walked into talks that had interesting titles, and my mind was changed or expanded in a direction it might have never gone, and those reflect a part of who I am now. These badges are themselves fascinating in terms of logistics, how a different organization put together this very simple yet limitless way of expressing themselves. The XOXO conference has a wooden badge, one where it's obviously cut and spray painted, while Hope and DEF CON have both experimented with extremely electronic badges with almost full computers on them, representing an opportunity to hack with them far beyond what they're doing. Personally, I love what they tell me. I love the variety put into them. I don't regret a moment of the time I've spent. But it does concern me because I see it in others, this sense that you haven't done enough. I think this is a coping mechanism from our minds. Our minds travel, hoping that forever extends behind us and forever extends before us. And it's very disappointed, almost despairing, that that's not really the case. And I think one way to cope with that is to forget all that was before so that you feel it's always been this way. It's really a matter of the human spirit and how it finds itself. And to be honest, nowhere have I seen the human spirit more than walking away from the various little rooms and offices that I do my work in and traveling to somewhere I would otherwise never go, and then talking to people who are living other lives and experiencing other things and sharing them. That, to me, has provided me with a lot of solace, of personal growth, and I wouldn't change a minute of any of it. Once I reassembled this pile of badges, I put it behind me where I see it every time I go to sit down. I have it there because my eyes now go over the trophies and mementos of my life, and they remind me that I did something, that something got finished, that not every project was completed, but I worked, and I loved, and I lived. This is Jason Scott Talks His Way Out of It, thanks to David Fisher, James Bekoyanu, Ernie Hershey, Michael Rubin, Sean Kelly, Trixie the Cat, Symbionce, Benjamin Guts, and Anonymous, along with the hundreds of other supporters on Patreon and elsewhere who have been supporting me and helping me get out of debt. In the modern era, I still attend conferences, but it's a trickle compared to the heyday. Nowadays, I am working so hard to finish up projects. And I want to say to people, I don't have anything that's giving me this sort of rush to finish. Please don't worry. There's no test. There's no sudden news. It's just a realization that I would like to put to bed the end of to-dos and trying to focus on what is for as long as I can.